going to get right into it today. The Panthers have won the Stanley Cup.
Which should shock nobody.
And I'm excited.
I know you're excited because we talked yesterday about how if the Oilers ended up winning the Stanley Cup, you just wouldn't be able to wrap your head around it.
My entire frame of what I think winning hockey looks like would be destroyed.
Yeah. Yeah. And the Florida Panthers, I feel like, are almost a picture-perfect example of how you think the game should be played.
I think they are a picture-perfect example of how the game should be played. What about them do you think makes them not perfect with how they play?
They're pretty much perfect.
I would say taking too many penalties is the only thing that I can think of.
Which they didn't do in Game 6. But I would agree. I was going to say it seemed like at times during the playoffs they would just like get a lead and then lose it. But that may be a result of taking too many penalties.
Well, in the one where they're up 3-0 after the first, they got into penalty trouble in the second, and they gave up 3.
Yeah.
So it's like you just can't do that. The Oilers, there's one thing they're good at is their power play.
Yeah, I mean, they've got 2 of the most skilled hockey players in the world on their power play.
Right.
And then
Draisaitl on top of that.
Who would be 1 and 2?
McDavid and Scory Perry.
Right.
Obviously, like a guy just lives in front of the net.
Yeah, one of the best net front players ever.
And then like if those 2 aren't the most skilled, then like you have Draisaitl who can chip in too.
Had Zach Hyman for like half the playoffs.
Yeah, and Zach Hyman.
Yeah. Nuge is actually pretty nasty.
Nuge, I think, is on the second unit, right? And he had a nice like back bar goal that game that they were down 3-0 going into the second.
What about the Bush bomb?
Did Bush have any bombs this series?
I saw him have 1 bomb yesterday, but I think it hit a shin pad.
What about the Bush turnovers?
Those were they came around a lot.
That guy is a bakery on skates, man. Like, is he not?
Yeah, he is a defensive liability.
I'm sure he's a great dude.
I don't know.
And he's playing in the National. He's on the first power play in the Oilers. But
just
from watching the Panthers and what they did, like, you have to get it deep. You can't turn it over, and he did multiple times.
Yeah, I think he would have to admit that he's got to work on his defensive game, right? Like, there's no
100%.
way he's oblivious to how poor he is on the defensive side of things.
100%.
And I'm sure his teammates are aware of it too. They have to be. It's like every time the Florida Panthers scored from like a rush even if you watch him in zone, he's holding the flag, as our coach would say, with his stick up off the ice in front of the net. Like, what are you doing?
Well,
there's so many times I'm like, they're about to score.
So I don't remember which game it was, but I think Marchand had 2 breakaways, 1 on the penalty kill, 1 on in overtime. And both times we talked about it, Bush got outside the dots chasing pucks when he wasn't going to get there first. So he exposed the middle of the ice, and the Panthers just go down and score.
Yeah.
And one of them was on the power play too.
How about yesterday too, man?
Well, yeah, I haven't gotten into yesterday, but yeah, yesterday or last night. So this is, we just watched the finals the night before recording this. 2 turnovers.
And the first one,
and he was stuck outside the dots on the turnovers, wasn't he?
I'll have to try and remember.
So the one was up at his own blue line.
Yeah, that's the one that I want to talk about because everyone was blaming who dished him the puck there. It was a kind of a bad pass, but who's their big D man?
Ekholm.
Yeah,
and then he got walked right after that.
Right, which was terrible, but also like, Bush, can you not handle a puck? You're supposed to be really good at that, and you're in the National League. Like, I understand Ekholm gave him a bit of a grenade, but then for a moment it was sitting right in front of him, and he swiped at it and just missed it.
But I don't know. I don't play defense, but I feel like if I'm on the wall and I'm at close to my blue line, and who was there? Was it Reinhardt that was right on top of me?
Yes.
I'm probably like, this is a grenade. I'm just gonna chip this past him. I can't make a play with this.
Exactly. He literally, I think he tried to use his backhand.
Yeah.
Here it is, right here. Look, he tries to swipe it back.
He had plenty of time. He had plenty of time to handle that pass. He actually had a sick handle off his skates and then made a bad turnover after that.
Ekholm was kind of pigeonholed right here, although he could have went to his forehand probably to Draisaitl on the weak side. That's a good D to D.
He's got to put it a little towards Bouchard's feet because the Panthers' stick is in the lane. So he's like, okay, well, I can put this towards his feet.
He kind of had to elevate it.
Yeah, it'll be all right.
Bush gets in his skates, handles it.
He's got time to make a play right now. That's actually a good handle.
Yeah, how about just chip it off the wall? Why are you trying to go backhand through the neutral zone on your own blue line 4 minutes into a hockey game?
I don't know.
Oh my God, that was worse than I thought it was.
But see, this is what I talk about. This is where, to me,
and he can't skate.
Right.
Just saying.
So this is where, to me, I think that the Panthers play the right way and the Oilers don't play the right way. Like,
I think
Panthers
most
just
would
chip
agree.
that up off the yellow.
Yeah,
And advance it.
I think most people would agree with you. Like, what's his face? Matthew Tkachuk, mind you, he's probably like 15 beers deep at this point. I saw a tweet.
He hasn't gone to sleep at this point.
Yeah, well, and this was like, I don't know what the time was on this, but I believe it was a quote from the Elbow Room last night or this morning. He made a comment on how, like, the Panthers, they're just like a team, and when times get tough, they just rely on each other. But the Oilers, when times get tough, they rely on one guy. So it's like, yeah. Obviously, I don't know. He's just being brutally honest on that, but I feel like everyone else must see that, right?
Well, I think when you watch the Panthers and they roll 4 lines, like, they can all be effective, and they all at least do something. Like, whether it's maybe hitting or not getting scored on, they all do something productive.
Yeah.
And I think the Oilers, they don't have the same lineup where they can put guys out and they all be productive all the time.
I agree, but I think they can do it more than they do. Like, I think it's just because you have Connor McDavid on your team doesn't mean you have to rely on him, right?
Yeah, but I don't know, I felt like their game plan was always to rely on him and Draisaitl.
I agree. I just don't think it has to be that way.
And obviously losing Hyman hurts a lot.
He's
huge for them.
Huge, because I think he plays the right way.
Him and Scory, I think, play the right way.
Yeah. What was I going to say? I lost my train of thought. Oh well, there it goes. In the wind.
Well, you're just talking about their depth of their lineup.
Yeah,
And guys that play the right way, guys don't.
I was going to mention Stuart Skinner for sure. I think maybe Connor McDavid as well in their post-game interviews both made comments about how they feel like they got away from their game.
So I did see comments about I saw some things that McDavid said after the game. It was something like, it felt like we kept trying the same things over and over, banging our head against the wall. What did you say? Stuart Skinner felt like they kind of got away from their game.
Yeah, that's what he said, word for word.
And I wonder what they mean.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to listen to it again. I don't know if he went into depth on it, but it seemed like the timeline was kind of like around after Game 3, maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
They said that, and then he went into depth on how, like, hockey's obviously a lot about momentum, and I think he just they felt like something happened around that Game 3 area, and they got away from their game, and then they lost momentum.
So for me, it's hard to kind of identify what the Oilers' game is, I think. Well, I know what it is, and again, I don't think it's a working game. So to me, I think the Oilers live off the rush.
Mm-hmm.
If they can rush and they can burn guys, they love it. They live on the power play. They live on making skilled little plays on the rush. And that's really, to me, that's their game.
So they basically just live off the rush and power play.
I think so, yeah.
So
from what I can tell.
Odd man opportunities.
Yes. And I felt like again, and when the Panthers gave them power plays, they got beat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that's what they're good at.
But I feel like if you're talking about momentum, 5-on-5, the Oilers didn't generate anything.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple things, and Bob made some good saves, but it's like all their stuff I feel like was on power play.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's the thing. Like 5-on-5 regular season, or maybe early on in the playoffs. Like, I know the Oilers, for the most part, even for the entirety of playoffs, were relying on those odd man rushes and power plays, but they were still having some 5-on-5 success. But then you run into a team like this where they just smother you because they're always in position and they grind and they hit you and whatever. All of a sudden you have no time and space to make plays 5-on-5. The Oilers, I feel like, don't play that same way.
Right.
So they can't create stuff like the Panthers can.
Right. Well, and the Panthers create a lot by advancing pucks, cycling pucks, low to high, wearing you down in your zone. Like, they're actually pretty good off the rush, and they score off mistakes, but I feel like what makes them even better is they have that whole other level of being able to cycle it behind the net, come out the other side, low to high, cycle it again, just working you around in your zone. And I feel like the Oilers don't have that as well a game of that.
Yeah, the Kachuk made a comment about it's like I'm sure the question asked was like, well, how are you guys so good, or why'd you win the cup? And he said it's a result of heart meeting skill. And I don't. And I'm going to go into this. I don't necessarily think the Oilers don't have heart. I think they do. I think they just don't play the right way, and I think those two things are different.
Like the Panthers, if you ask me if they say they got away from their game, I think I would know exactly what they're talking about. They're trying to make too many cute little plays. They're trying to make little passes through the stick, little slip passes, because the Panthers' game is advance the puck, play fast, put it behind guys' heels, chip it up off the wall, and go get it. Forecheck hard, pinch, replace. If the other team's coming down the ice with the puck, the gap is always right on with trackers. It's such an easy thing to identify, and they're all bought into it. Yeah.
But when the Oilers say they're not in their game, you don't understand what that means.
I think it's harder for me to identify what that means.
Me too, for sure. Because for me, it just looked like the same team, but have been all year in playoffs, but they were just playing a team that smothered them.
Right. And to me, like guys like Draisaitl are spotty with playing their own game, with playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a turnover. Sometimes Draisaitl's okay, but sometimes he'll 747 bus turn, and that's like not at all playing the right way.
Right. Yeah, I didn't see much of that from the Panthers.
No, it's stop and start. It's D's pinching. I'm already replacing.
Yeah,
it's like it's just methodical.
Even when McDavid danced around probably the best defensive forward in the world,
right? There
was still another layer of Aaron Ekblad. There to meet him, but then
and it's like plays like that are cool, but you're not going to win the cup on those plays.
No.
What did McDavid do the rest of the series?
Nothing. He got smothered.
Right.
I think,
and it's not his fault. It's hard to score, especially against Barkov.
Yeah.
But it's just how you have to build your team cannot be skill, and one guy beating guys or two guys beating guys. You're going to outskill the other team.
I agree, but I do think a lot of the Oilers' issues has to do not so much with personnel and not so much with heart. I got to put a lot of it of this on the coach, because at the end of the day, it's like, why does Paul Maurice have success? Like, obviously he's got a hell of a lineup with a ton of skill on it, and he's got players who want to win and that are willing to do anything to win. But he's the one who's putting the system in place that says, okay, when we're on the forecheck, he designs the forecheck. That's his job.
Yeah.
Forecheck, I can't tell you
neutral zone.
Right. I can't tell you what the Oilers' forecheck is. I can't tell you what their principles are.
Right.
To me, it just seems like it's hey, we've got these two good players. Let's try and bring in as much skill as possible and let them play.
Let them double shift.
Yeah. Yeah, beg them to. Like, it's like,
right.
I just don't, it's just not a recipe for success. And then you play a team like this, and even your best players, being McDavid, Draisaitl, and Bouchard in regards to points, they're -4 last night.
Yeah.
With 0 points.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about right now? And this is why yesterday when you and I were talking prior to Game 6, we're both agreeing that it's like, if the Oilers win the Stanley Cup, your brain is going to explode.
It would. It probably would.
Because maybe a little bit of anger and frustration, but mostly because you just wouldn't be able to understand how that's possible.
Right. My entire frame of what I think it takes to win a hockey championship would be dismantled.
Yeah, it would be gone. You'd be like, I don't know what to think anymore.
But I think I have that frame for a reason.
Your experience.
Because yet again, it's one.
Your experience of playing and watching hockey for the last 31 years. That might do it.
Right.
So, yeah, you want to talk about the goalies a little bit too? Like,
yeah, we can talk about the goalies.
Can I get us going on one play that I just want your opinion on? Because it's going to be the most controversial.
Get us going on a play. I'm going to get myself in trouble here for a second with my buddies. In the final 4 teams, there's only one player that made over $10 million this year.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, because Bob makes 10, right?
Bob makes 10. Barkov, I think, is 10, and Kachuk is 10, maybe.
And then Draisaitl's still at 8
He's like at 9.5 now.
after the season or right now?
Right now.
Okay. Because I know he's going up next
Do you
season.
know what he goes up to next year?
Is it 14?
14 million.
Holy shit.
And the cap goes up too. The cap goes up, I think, from 88 to 96.
Yeah, that's big, but that ain't a $4 million per guy jump.
That ain't no. especially if you bust turn when there's a turnover at the far blue, at the offensive blue line.
He's actually, I think, are you sure it's 9.5? I'm not going to question you. I thought it was 8 point something.
It could be.
Either way, he's getting like a
there.
$5 million pay raise.
So there was one player. Now, they've sent me stuff about percentage of salary cap and how guys have made a higher percentage of salary cap and won. So I think Kachuk's at like 11% of the cap at 10 million, but guys have won at 15% of the cap at like 8 million or whatever that would have been in 2005.
Okay.
But there's like 2 guys who have made over 14% of the cap that have won the cup.
Okay, that's not a high number.
That's not a high number.
It's very
And
low
nobody
percentage.
making over 10 has won the cup.
Yeah, that's
So
crazy.
if you're a GM,
That's about to change, though. I think.
it's about to change because now our numbers are going to be different. But if
But right
you're a
now they're
GM, you're not signing anyone for more than 10 million.
No.
David,
now I
the
am,
Bruins,
no.
the Bruins, great team. David Pastrnak signs for 12 something. How'd
Yeah.
they do this year?
Didn't
make
was a
playoffs?
slippery slope.
How'd the Rangers do this year? Doesn't Breadman make like 12?
I don't know.
Didn't make playoffs either, did they?
Nope.
How did the Avalanche do this year? McKinnon now makes 12. When they won the cup, I think he was at like 6.3, by the way.
Yeah. So, yeah. He was.
So how'd they do this year? First round exit?
Yep.
Okay. So now you have one guy in the final 4 teams who makes over 10.
And that's Connor McDavid, right?
That's Connor McDavid.
Where does he make? 13?
I think he's 12.5 or something like that.
Well,
So
12 and a
now,
half will be
again,
good
you
for
can
next
go into
year.
the percentages, and I need to look more into that. But if 2 guys, let's say the number is 14% of the cap you can win with. 2 guys in the history, and it was in like 2005 and 2006, have won over that percentage.
Okay.
And McDavid makes like 14.2% of the cap or something. I just did the numbers the other night. This is what I do when I'm bored.
That should surprise nobody.
So if only 2 guys have done it, I think you just can't sign anybody over 10 million right now. Now maybe next year it's like 12 million, and McDavid's right in the slot.
Or maybe next year's 10 over 10.
Right.
Not necessarily 12.
Like 11.
Yeah. Or like 10 and a half.
But now Leon's making 14, so now just when you get space for guys, now it's gone.
Okay, wait. I should know the answer to this, but for some reason I think I might be forgetting something. Has there ever been someone that's made over 10 million that won the Stanley Cup?
The number 10 million? No.
Wow.
Eichel won it at 10 with Vegas. I think that was in 2023. Now Bob.
Yeah, last year and this
Mhm.
year.
Now Price got close. He was like the first guy to play in the finals, making over 10 million with like a 15 million cap hit.
So there's been 2 goalies.
And he had to
that
go
have
on.
come close.
He had to go on such a
and
run
won.
that he literally hasn't played since.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's still recovering.
Yeah, he's still recovering from that run. So I just had to get that out of the way because people knew that was coming. It's gonna get me in some trouble. That's okay.
That's
the
fine.
numbers are what they are.
Yeah. That's why I think you're fine because you're just. I mean,
It's an observation that's just been true this whole time.
I'd have to see like the other side of it that your
I'll show you
buddies are
some
on.
stuff. Yeah, I'll show you some
and
stuff.
The percentages.
Yeah.
I've just learned to just trust your theories because they're usually
So I wanted to get that out of the way. Talk to me about the goalies. That's
Okay.
what we're all here for.
all right. Stuart Skinner. There's a lot to unpack, but this is just this.
I think
you
I know
where I'm going with
exactly
this?
what you're going to talk about.
Even,
I had guys last night tell me the first goal was his fault. It's like you didn't see the turnover and 2 guys get danced for a Reinhardt falling breakaway shot just inside the post.
someone on the TNT broadcast was saying he was too deep in his net and he was like toes on top. I'm like, what are you talking about?
That's not why that puck went in.
They said literally he was like, the reason that puck goes in is because the goalie's depth on that play. I'm like, oh, this is so
Okay.
bad. Can we
But-
get someone who knows what they're talking about
Right.
to do, what do you call it? Play-by-play.
Well, you got to think Hank was probably sitting there like, ugh, I don't know about that.
Well,
'Cause
yeah.
Hank's like on his goal line. And that's
Right. Hank's feet are like in his net with his hands on
yeah.
front of his goal line.
He makes that save like an inch in front of his goal line because he's like in butterfly inside the net. His
Yeah.
hands are in front. He's like, I'm going to stop this.
Can we get Hank on the play-by-play on top of the intermission report?
Okay.
Like, let's go.
So first of all, if he's far out on that and Reinhardt does a falling, backhand, forehand, and changes the angle that much, Stuart Skinner has to move such a long way to get to that puck to make that save, and now he's just waving his hand at it.
Right, and I believe Stuart Skinner knows he may not have the mobility to do that.
Okay, but even if you do, you're just going to rely on reaching your glove out and hoping that, hoping that you somehow get a great read and you make a crazy save. It's like, I'd rather just be there making a glove save. Okay? So I had people tell me the first goal was his fault.
Okay. I got to get to my point here.
Okay.
Because I'm going to jump.
I took you off your point.
It's okay.
And I think I know exactly where you're going.
Okay. The third goal.
Yeah.
All right. So obviously it didn't look good. And even I can be like,
they shot it from the corner blue. It was kind of like a sauce on the net. He could have caught it. He could have done something. He just kind of directed it sort of to between the dot and the hash on the far side. Barkov skated into it, shot it far side off Reinhardt's foot and in. And the argument is that because it's such a soft shot from so far away, he should control that rebound. It should just be a whistle, or he should put it somewhere out of danger.
He should probably catch the puck, is what they were saying.
Just so that we can explain to people what we're talking about, what exactly happened.
Right.
Okay, now go with what you're saying.
I'm glad you did that because, I mean, you took a couple points from me, but I'm glad you lined it up the way you did. So here's the thing, and I might be completely off my rocker crazy.
We already know that you are.
Right.
That wasn't a question.
What is it? A question for you. What does it say about me when I see that play happen? And my first thought is, wow, Stu looks dialed because how he recovered to the rebound.
Oh, I was thinking that too.
I was like, whoa, he looks super calm right now.
I would have been like, oh no, that's a bad rebound by me. I'm going to fly out of this puck.
Post. Yeah. He literally, it hit him. It went to a guy all alone, kind of all alone in the slot.
Yeah.
And he touched his post.
Yeah, he got back. He's just set. He's just ready. Go ahead, shoot it. I'm going to stop this.
I was like, oh, he's dialed
and
right
it wasn't even the guy it went to that scored, by the way. That Barkov, and as crazy as it sounds, I think he did it on purpose.
I'm 98% sure he did.
Missed the net by 2 feet, but because there were two guys there, I think he's thinking, I'm going to shoot this off his skate.
I 100% think so because he's such a smart player. He sees that Stu he squared up a little bit too much on it, and he's like, oh, I got nothing here.
Right,
you know?
right.
I'm just going to bank this off of my guy standing behind him.
Right, and that's what we talk about, where it's like you got to, you hopefully set yourself up at a spot to make that save too.
Yeah, you would have been in your reverse there, I think. Actually, I don't know what you would have done because I've never seen you make that save before, like standing up on your feet.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever seen you make a save standing on your feet before.
You have maybe a couple times.
I don't know. Yeah, you must not have been feeling good or something. Or maybe you were feeling so good you were like, I'm bored.
There was one against Pensy this year that I was feeling good, and they like wristed it from the blue line. I just caught it on my feet.
Okay. I don't remember that, but obviously I'm sure it did happen.
Okay.
I'm slightly over-exaggerating when I say I've never seen you make a save on your feet.
I rarely do because in the event that it is tipped down, which happens all the time on shots from the point, why would you be standing up?
Right.
And they can't tip it up because that's either a high stick or it misses the net high. Okay, keep going.
I think Stuart Skinner was dialed in last night. I thought he looked good. I really did. And for the record, I thought he looked good in game...
He made some great saves, did he not?
Game 4, yes, he did. In Game 4, he made some 6 saves. He kept them in the game, even though they were down 3-0 after the first period. In the first 10 minutes, he had like 10 shots against, and he was making 6 saves.
And the shots were like 18-3 after one.
Yes.
Like it's going to give eventually.
Exactly. I thought he actually looked dialed from Game 4, the first period of Game 4, and in Game 6.
Right.
When I understand why he did what he did on that play, I think he was just so dialed in, so calm. He was just like, oh, this puck's coming to my blocker side. I'm just going to make a simple save. The rebound's going to kick out there. Maybe my team will be there to grab it. Oh, well, they're not.
Right, because they're dialed in.
Right. Oh, well, they're not. Now I'm just going to get set on this next one calmly over there.
Yeah.
And it ends up hitting a guy in front who's standing behind me, which, I mean, my D-man's there too. Like, my point is, I understand why he did that.
Maybe box Reinhardt out.
It's very hard as a goalie to be dialed in a hockey game. A guy's going up the wall. You're probably not expecting a shot, but the shot's coming. It's very hard to be like, okay, I'm going to cross-body this with my glove.
Yeah.
And catch it when the entire series you've probably had traffic in front of you the whole time, and he knows you can't make cross-arm saves because it's going to get tipped the other direction and go in.
Right where your glove would have been.
Like, it's not as and I was pissed at what's his face,
Bush?
At Bush. Like, Get out of here. Like
not Evan Bouchard. We're talking about Brian Boucher at this point, who's a broadcaster, not Evan Bouchard.
Yeah,
who I think that.
Brian, yes, he seems like a beauty. I don't really remember that much of his playing days. I'm sure you do.
I remember watching
he's American, right? He's an American guy.
I think so, yeah.
I was like, shut up. You're acting like you've never been in that situation before. You're acting like you're Carey Price. Oh, it drove me nuts. I was like you're telling me you can't understand why he chose to make that save selection?
Right. Yeah. Yes, I agree. Because Bush made a different comment that upset me. So, okay. I got to break this down from a couple standpoints. From a goaltending standpoint, I'm thinking I should have caught that puck or done something different with it. Right?
Yes.
At evaluating your game.
Yes.
Self-evaluation, you got to take responsibility for it. What could I have done if I'm Stuart Skinner? I'm like, I'm catching that puck. I just have to control that.
Yeah.
Okay. But people are acting like that's the only mistake on that goal. Like people like first of all, how did Barkov get so open? He's by himself walking in. It's a 2-on-1 at the net.
The Oilers were tired, Stu. That's what they were tired. Stewart's got to know that he's got to cover that puck. His team's tired.
Yes. If your team is tired, you want to get whistles.
Why are they tired? He didn't. Maybe because Jeff Skinner's on the ice.
Right. But he didn't. Okay.
Christ.
Why is Reinhart not boxed out? How is he allowed to get into the paint? How is he allowed to be on the offensive side of your defenseman? Two things that shouldn't happen on that play.
Mm-hmm.
Where's Barkov's guy? Where's the guy that's supposed to stop Barkov? Okay. Mm-hmm. So you take all that. The comment that Bush made that I didn't like is that he's like, oh, his teammates see this puck going past them. They assume he's going to catch it, so they let up for it.
Oh, that's right.
So they let up for a second.
What a brutal take.
In the Stanley Cup Finals, I'm not letting up for a split second.
Right.
What do you mean you're letting up? What if it hits something? What if he just bobbles it? It's human beings playing sports. Things can happen.
Yeah.
I'm not letting up. I'm boxing out. I'm thinking, if he doesn't catch this, I would like to get this rebound because maybe I want to go on offense or maybe I want to clear it.
Yep.
I'm boxing guys out. I'm not letting up. When we're taught to play, you're taught to play whistle to whistle. Mm-hmm. You don't stop until you hear that whistle.
From like the time you're 7.
There is no, we'll let up. Why don't you let up because you assume there's going to be a whistle? No.
Right.
So I didn't like that comment. That's the comment that got me. I was like, yeah, could Stu have done something different there? Yes. Did I respect how calm he was on the recovery, getting ready for the next play? Yes.
Did he square up a little bit too much on that play?
Sure.
Yeah.
Hell, he might have been in his reverse. But
he would have been in his reverse.
But there was clearly a defensive zone. 100%. There was a terrible defensive zone breakdown for Barkov to have that much time and space and think, I'm just going to put it off the back door guy. Reinhart beat his guy to the net. Mm-hmm. Like, that just doesn't happen.
I know. It's and that's what's so frustrating to us is all the other mistakes that are made in that play. And why I'm pissed at Bush is because he's a goalie and he should be able to have a little bit of awareness and be like, maybe I shouldn't roast this guy. Like, acknowledge, you know what? He should probably catch that puck. He knows it.
And he wants to.
He wants to control that thing. But where's everybody else? How about instead of saying, oh, everyone's tired, then they're thinking you're going to catch the puck, so they just they start straight-legging it. How about being like, what are the Oilers doing? Why are they assuming the play's over before it's over? Right. Why aren't we hearing that on the TNT broadcast?
So I'm going to let up and let Reinhart beat me to the net. Oh, it'll be fine. Reinhart can beat me to the net.
Right.
Oh.
So like the Panthers didn't let up.
Stuart Skinner didn't let up.
No.
He went right to that second puck and was ready for it.
I was so frustrated. So aggravating to listen to that last night.
This was a conversation I was having last night. And it's like, they're like, so it's just nothing that happens is Stuart Skinner's fault. I'm like, yes. As a goalie, you're always evaluating what you could have done better on every goal and taking ownership of that and getting better at that. But watching the game objectively, like if I'm a head coach, there's 3 or 4 mistakes on that play that were made.
Yeah.
And as a goalie, obviously it's your job to look inside yourself and say, what could I have done better? What should I have done better? And learn from it and get better. So you're still getting better from it. But from someone who's watching the game, maybe you're a coach or a fan or watching the game objectively, there's more guys that made mistakes on it. There's more guys that have made mistakes on that play than just him.
Maybe you know what? On the first goal, like Skinner should have just thought, my D-man's got the puck. Bush has it on the blue line. He'll get out. I'm just gonna lean on my my post.
Yeah, I'm gonna let up because I'm just gonna assume we're gonna get this puck out.
Like it's the same thing, right? Are we being biased? It's the same thing.
It is the same thing. I think
a play that should happen that didn't happen, and you're making up excuses for guys for not being
the
where
right
they're
way.
supposed to.
Playing the right way. This is what we talk about with the Oilers.
I know.
And then I'm going to make another point. I think the fact that the Oilers lost this series, I think a lot of people want to put stuff on Stuart Skinner, is not his fault.
No.
They got outplayed 5-on-5. I think if the Oilers have Bob, they still lose this series.
I was thinking that too. I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more.
Like Stuart Skinner held them through times of duress, and your job as a team is to be like, hey guys, the goalie held us through those 5 minutes of us being under constant pressure. Now we should be down 1 or 2-0, but we're not. Now we put it on their team and we go down there and put 5 minutes of pressure on them and we try to score. Not, hey guys, Stuart Skinner held us through 5 minutes of pressure. Well, guess what, Stu? You got to hold us through another 15.
Get ready for the next 55 minutes.
Like when you see Vasi, good goalies, cup-winning goalies, Bob in this series, they hold them through little moments of the game, and that ends up helping them win.
Yeah.
Not we needed our goalie to hold us in this game for the first 20 minutes of this game. That's not how it works.
Even if Bob was in net, maybe Bob lets in like 2 instead of 3, maybe. But guess what?
Right. They still scored 1
when it was too late.
When it was too late.
When it was already 5-0.
Right.
So you know what I mean? The game was essentially over at 3-0.
Yeah.
Like maybe it's 2-0, and then there'll be the people that'll be like, "Oh, well, what about momentum?" It's like it doesn't matter.
Like momentum is something, but
the Panthers are going to play the same way, no matter what.
No matter what, you could turn the scoreboard off, and you couldn't tell what the score was based on how they're playing.
Exactly.
And that's what makes a good hockey team.
Yep. And I think also it's for the record, and I know you'll agree with this, it's kind of confusing why the Oilers have made it this far the last 2 years.
Well, I've said it's been confusing to me too, but nobody gives them a test in the West. They dance right through the West.
Okay, but what about, like, in my opinion, the Dallas Stars, the Winnipeg Jets, the LA Kings are all solid hockey teams.
I agree, but I don't know.
Like,
at this moment, I do not know why they don't have any test for them.
Is McDavid and Draisaitl so offensively gifted that they can just put a lipstick on a pig?
Well, that's what I was thinking. I was like, McDavid makes over $10 million, but if anybody could, it might be him just because of what he's able to do without the depth.
Yeah. I think that's the answer. So it's like you run, in my opinion, it's lipstick on a pig having those two guys on this team. And it's not the players. Like, it's not just like Matthias Ekholm. Matthias?
Yeah, I think he's a great defenseman.
Nasty. Like, maybe he wasn't at his best because he was hurt, but I mean, he's still like he's a dog.
Yeah.
That's where I can't let go of my intuition telling me that it's a coaching issue.
Yeah, my gut is telling me that that's a big part of it too. And I'm not saying that this is right, but people online are starting to say, like, hey, McDavid's saying they're banging their head against the wall and they're trying the same thing over and over again. That might be a shot at the coach.
That is 100% a shot.
So you're saying that 100% is.
Whether it's intentional or not, that's a shot at the coach.
Right.
I don't know if it was intentional.
I don't think it would be from him.
But, I mean, who do you bring in? Like, they've had 3 head coaches there since McDavid's been there.
I don't know. John Tortorella.
Well,
that
would work.
You want a team to get defensive structure.
Peter DeBoer,
although he's getting roasted the last conference finals and put it all in order.
His teams play the right way, though, I think.
They do. Yeah, they do for the most part. I think Carolina plays the right way. They just weren't as good at playing the right way as Florida is.
I guarantee you this offseason, potentially as soon as next year's training camp, there's a new starting goalie in Edmonton because that's how this shit works. The fingers get pointed in the wrong direction more often than not, and that's why there's one team that wins the cup, and there's 31 other ones that just do the wrong thing all the time.
It's going to be Calvin Pickard.
Why? Because they can't afford any other goalie?
Well, I was going to say, what do you need to get rid of Stu? Then who are you going to bring in? Stu's a good goalie. He's affordable for you.
Yeah.
You can't afford a $10 million goalie right now.
100%.
You don't have the cap, and next year, we got to crunch the numbers, but it really doesn't look like you have the cap.
Yeah. But that's when they're going to bring in somebody that's probably not good at the same price tag or less because they're thinking, Stu couldn't get the job done. When
But this guy can get the job done for cheaper.
maybe this guy will be able to do it. But then you're going to have the same lipstick on a pig with a worse goalie in net. Good luck. Like,
Yeah,
you're
then
gonna
at that point you
round.
might lose
You're going to lose first
before
round.
the finals. Yeah.
Like, Nathan McKinnon right now is, like, bench pressing 600 pounds watching that Stanley Cup game last night. Like, he's coming out flying. He's going to crush you in the first round next year.
Yeah, and you'd think Colorado, their cap space will be better because it's going up now.
Yeah.
Now the 10 million number is void.
Colorado might be nasty next year. And they've got your boy,
They were supposed to be nasty this year. Who's my boy?
McKenzie.
I think
For
I
4
think
more
I think
years.
Blackwood's
Or
very
5.
good. Oh yeah, he signed an extension. Yeah, I think he's very good.
I think he's good too. I think he's nasty. I just couldn't wrap my head around there being a good hockey player on the New Jersey Devils.
Right.
And then he went to San Jose, I think.
And then you just
And I was like,
nobody knows anything that goes on in San Jose.
I just couldn't watch the hockey, you know.
Right.
But
Well,
you always told
those
me that
games
you
start
liked
at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, you've told me that you like Mackenzie Blackwood
Yeah.
from his Devils days.
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
And I semi-trusted that. And then now that I watched him in Colorado, I'm like, oh, yeah, this guy's like...
He's a crazy mix of technically sound and super athletic.
And he's big.
And he's big.
He's
Yeah.
got tools.
He's
man.
like 6'3", 225, I think.
Yeah. And the stories that we've heard, he might be a dog on top of it.
Yeah, he doesn't wear a chin sling in his helmet, so when he gets hit in the face, his helmet just hits him in the face.
That's wild.
He's
Crazy.
lost teeth because of it.
Yeah. And it seems like he kind of likes it.
Yeah, I think that's the worst. That's the scariest part. Is I think he kind of likes it.
Yeah, Colorado might win the next 6 cups. Or 5, sorry. The next 5 cups.
Florida, Colorado would be a great final next year.
Oh, that'd be sick. That'd be unreal. Anyways, we got anything else to say about the Oilers? Because I mean, we still got to touch on Bob.
I think that I think we did that third goal justice and did defensive Stuart Skinner justice, and people blaming him for this whole thing. The Oilers just didn't have the depth. Stu as a goalie is going to learn what he can do to get better, and he's going to get better. He'll continue to get better, and he'll do everything he can to help this team.
if he's given the opportunity.
But you can't put it on him.
I've never seen a guy play so well and get roasted by media and fans as much as he has in his hometown. Like, give me a break.
Yeah, I know.
What a joke. Anyways.
Yeah.
You
And,
wanna talk
his,
about
and his wife's receiving death threats.
Yeah, like,
about
what
their
are we...
children?
Who... Okay, see... I don't even like giving this the time of day.
We don't need to. I'm just saying, like, that's just the kind of scrutiny he's under.
But to me, the death threats come from, like, in my head, and I could be wrong. I shouldn't even touch on this. But in my head, I automatically think they're coming from some absolute loser, like some pigeon in his basement that's like 45 years old.
You're saying just that they don't watch the game. They don't understand the game.
No, they don't understand. No, I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying some guy who's literally got no life and is just trying to feel something, and just piss other people off because he hates the world. That's what I think of. Like, I have no time. That's why I'm like, I don't even want to entertain this because who cares about that?
Fair. Right. No, I agree. That's a very small percentage of the population, but apparently there's been numerous.
But
according to his wife. So
if you're a normal human being making those comments. Never mind. I can't say what I'm going to say.
Right, we're moving on from that. I'm just that was just to
exemplify.
That was just to exemplify the scrutiny that he's under.
Yeah,
that we think is not fair.
Yeah, I was firing myself up.
Yeah,
Bobrovsky. This episode of Off Angle is brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings, the perfect place for families and fans to enjoy the game together. Whether it's a night out after practice or catching the big game, B-Dubs has you covered with delicious wings, great food options, and every sport on the screen. With a menu full of kid-friendly choices, shareable snacks, and flavor-packed sauces for the grown-ups, there's something for everyone at the table. It's more than just a meal, it's a full game day experience. And if you're on the go, Buffalo Wild Wings makes it easy with online ordering and takeout. Perfect for a hockey family always on the move. So gather the team, bring the family, and make your next game day stop Buffalo Wild Wings. Bobrovsky's so nasty.
Okay, well, I think that's a good segue into Bob. Because what's crazy we were talking about it this morning. What's crazy to me about Bob is he's 37, I think. and he still is getting better.
Mm-hmm.
And I think not physically, but from this finals compared to last finals, I feel like mentally he's gotten better as a goalie.
Yeah, you can tell by the way the way he's playing, and like his brief comments.
How calm he is.
Yeah.
But I think what really is exemplary of that was his interview after Game 5. I think they won, and they were up 3-2. And they asked Bob, what do you think about the fact that you guys go back to Florida? Next game, you could be hoisting the Stanley Cup. And he said, I'm not worried about that. I don't. You don't think about the cup or anything. I'm just focused on the first shift of next game.
Yeah, that's sick.
And I thought, and the preparation for that, and I thought that was awesome.
That's just proof that he's better than last year even.
I agree, because last year it seemed like last year was his first cup. And it would have been winning his first cup, and he was probably super excited.
Yeah.
And he didn't have the experience of having already won a cup that he's got now. But I think last year he got focused on those external things based on how he was playing and based on the results he was getting. What's cool about this year is I think that you can tell the difference in what his focus is on.
Mm-hmm.
And like we've said, we've talked about this till we're blue in the face. If you focus too much on external outcomes or external results of any individual game, you're not going to play your best.
Yeah.
You're going to put too much pressure on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And you're focused on the wrong things, and it takes your bandwidth. I think Bob, and I'm hoping this is the case, I could be wrong. I think Bob realized that last year and learned, like, hey, I want to win this cup so bad. But if I focus on how bad I want to win this, I'm not going to play my best. I'm going to take myself farther away from getting it, which sounds counterintuitive, but I think over the last couple of years and just watching hockey and watching Hellebuck in playoffs compared to regular season and watching Bob in the finals last year compared to this year, I think I've just learned more about, hey, just if you focus on just doing what you can do and what you do, you'll play better.
And, focus on what's in front of you. A bit of a trend that makes a lot of sense to me here.
I feel like it's been a trend that we've talked about since, we've started after our season, since we've started back up, and we wouldn't be talking about it if it wasn't a pattern that keeps repeating itself.
Right, and if you break it down and think about it, so if you just focus in on Bob and Hellebuck, we know, and I feel like most people can tell, that these guys put work in. They are dedicated.
Yeah.
They want to be the best at their position, and they do whatever it takes to be that.
Yeah.
Whether that's their entire life of dedicating to the position, their current situation of them being in the gym. Like, we've heard stories of Bob being in the gym after a game and the coach being like,
well, before on game day after morning skate.
Okay, yeah.
Paul Maurice was like, Bob, you're starting tonight.
Right.
Why are you doing an Olympic lift?
Yeah.
And he's just like, and Paul Maurice is like, I don't know, but Bob does it, and I just let him do his thing.
Right. So you put yourself in that position. Think about how dedicated of a person you are at this one specific thing. Now, put yourself in Bob's position last year, where you finally, all that work that you do every single day, you finally have a chance to reach the holy grail of the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
It's hard not to think about.
And you are so close. And if you think about it, at the end of every season, you are so let's say the Panthers, they lost in the finals the year before.
Yeah.
We've been there. We've lost out of playoffs. We've lost in the finals. In the days following, as you're reflecting on the season, you're like, man, I am going to have to, everything I just did, the dedication, all the work I put in, I'm going to have to do that for another 12 months before I might get a chance to do this again.
Yeah. And
so you do. And you finally get there. And you're just so close. You've done all the work. You've waited all this time. Because when you lose in the finals, all you want is to just get back in the finals and play in the finals again tomorrow.
Yeah.
Can we just reset and play again?
Yep.
And you've waited the whole year. And that's what makes winning so special. But you've waited the whole year. You're finally back, and you want it so bad, and then that's why it's so easy to get focused on that.
Yeah, and it can be. I mean, it can be losing a regular season game. Like if you have a bad loss, like the first thing you feel is, I wish we were playing tomorrow. You know, and that can be tough as a goalie too, because usually if you lose and you do have a game tomorrow, you're not the one playing.
Right.
know?
Yeah.
You know, you and I have dealt with that all the time. But yeah, it's just, to me, it just makes so much sense. The more work you put in, the more you're gonna care about winning. You know, because you've dedicated your life, your time, your energy, everything. You've dedicated everything to that, to trying to win a championship.
Yeah.
So I mean, to see what I think what we're saying is it makes sense why you see Connor Hellebuck play the way he does in the playoffs.
It's so understandable, and the way Bob did for 3 games last year.
But we can just with our own eyes see, and I guess our ears in his comments, the difference 1 year has made for Bob. Another comment Bob made, which I know you're gonna absolutely love this. I'm sure you already heard it, but did you catch his on ice post game interview?
Yeah, that was great. That was so awesome.
He basically, I don't remember. I think it was Jackie who asked him, but she had a question like, "How's it feel?" Basically, whatever. Typical post Stanley Cup winning interview, and he gave glory to God for like 20, 30 seconds, and he finished his comments by saying, just got to get back to work now.
Yeah, he's like, I'm excited to get back to work.
This guy just won the Stanley Cup. He just did everything we just talked about for 12 months. To the dedication, the work, everything. He won, and less than 30 minutes later, he's like, yeah, just got to get back to work.
I'm ready to win another cup.
That is so if that's not the sickest thing as an athlete that you've ever heard, I don't know what it is.
Says about Bob, man. He's just totally dedicated all the time.
Yeah, like glory to God, thanking his family, thanking his teammates.
Happy to have this group.
And back to work. You haven't even had a beer yet.
Let's get better tomorrow.
Go have a beer, Bob.
Yeah.
Go have a beer. Like, enjoy the week. It's Tuesday today.
Yeah.
Take until next Tuesday.
Then you can get back on the ice and get working again.
But he's like, no, I just got to get back to work.
Yeah.
What a nail gun. I don't know. Like I said, as an athlete, you got to hear that and be like, wow.
I thought that, when I saw that interview, I was like, that's just insane. That's outstanding. Like, in a good way. It's really good.
It is. But, I don't know. Just
it's what makes Bob Bob.
And he's won 2 Stanley Cups.
Yep.
So you
2 Vezinas.
You say you want to put the work in to make the NHL and win a Stanley Cup. Well, look what it takes. You know?
Right. Yeah.
Like, he makes $10 million. That's easy to do. No. That is not easy to do. Yeah, it's not easy to have that mentality.
Right.
It's not easy to not eat the piece of cake, you know?
Right.
Like it takes so much work to be in his position. People have no clue.
And it takes so much work to be sustainable at 37, like to be able to play as much as he does.
And lose 15
and
pounds
play all
of
the
liquids
time.
Every game.
Right. Yeah. And then recover from that and play 2 nights later.
Yeah.
His comment about focusing on the first shift of the next game, I guess, to wrap this thing up. Another thing that I liked about it was I feel sometimes when you're going into a game, you're like, all right, your thought just as a goalie, you're like, okay, I got to hold them for 60 minutes. That seems like a long time. Mm-hmm. And I think you can overwhelm yourself. Like, okay, I got to play another full game tonight. I played last night. Got to play another one tonight. I got to hold them for 60 minutes again. It just takes your focus, and it just is like, how about don't worry about holding them for 60 minutes? Can you hold them for one shift?
Yeah,
I could probably do that.
Yeah.
And then you just do it. You get in the rhythm. You get in the game. The pressure's off yourself. You just play a little bit at a time, like just the next segment, the next 5 minutes, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then eventually you've played another game. So I think the mentality of that, of not being like, we just won game 5. I got to hold these guys off a whole another 60 minutes for game 6.
Yeah.
I think just chopping it down like that into, can I just be focused and ready for the first shift of next game? I think you do yourself a huge service mentally.
Yeah, to me, it just comes down to just being present in the moment, you know, because like you've heard it, everyone's heard it in hockey, like take it shift by shift, you know, period by period, whatever, 5 by 5, take it 5 minutes by 5 minutes, another 5. For me, you can keep narrowing it down to shift by shift, play by play.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's just focusing on what's in front of you.
Right, and not focusing.
What you're trying to get
not
to.
Focusing on what's going to happen in the third period.
Right.
Just worry about right now.
Because I feel like if you're thinking about the end result, you're going through each moment, each present moment, thinking, I can't mess this up, or when I get to that moment, it's not going to be there for me.
It's just another way to put more pressure on yourself
100%.
that you don't need.
And you end up chasing the game. In our position, what we've noticed is that thought process usually leads to making mistakes, chasing the game, chasing the puck.
Yeah.
Doing things you normally wouldn't do that you know you shouldn't.
Right.
But, I mean, there was no moment really watching Bob where I'm like, he's not present right now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Even
sometimes he gets a little too excited.
He does, but I think he just does that. Like he's so good. Like last night, his poke check on McDavid, is that McDavid? No, I think I'm thinking a different play. Anyways, a guy was like cutting into a cross crease on his backhand, and Bob does a poke check. We're probably not going to coach that.
Yeah.
Bob can do it because he's nasty, but my point is he was so dialed that he just knew when to do it, whereas last year he's like swinging his stick everywhere, poking every 3 seconds. You know, he wasn't doing that.
There's a lot of experience in that poke check.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And
It's
Bob's aggressive with the poke checks, so he's a little bit better at it, although sometimes it gets him in trouble.
Well, yes. But it just seemed this year compared to last, it got him in trouble a lot less.
Yeah.
Because he was more selective and just focusing on what's in front of him.
Yeah.
It wasn't like poke check. It was like, poke check.
And he's even said, I think it was a couple years ago, that he just always feels like he's getting better still, which is crazy at 35 at the time to say, but I bet at 37 he still feels that way because it looks that way to me.
Well, yeah. I mean, think about so if you think about his last 2 playoff runs, how sick is he going to be next year? We know he takes care of his body, so he's going to be physically ready.
Yeah.
But think about mentally.
He'll just keep getting better, reading the game, reading the play.
As long as his team remains dialed.
Right.
Like, I'm pretty confident they're going to sign Sam Bennett. The cap is going up at a perfect
What about
time.
Marchand?
I'm pretty confident they can sign him too because he doesn't need much more money. I think Marchand will take I think they'll all take less than what they
to stay there
could get
to stay there.
When I say they all, I mean the players that they need.
Well, right. You're telling me Barkov can't make $12 million a year? He absolutely could, but he doesn't.
And I think Sam Bennett just won the Conn Smythe Trophy. So is there anybody else who's more deserving of winning or getting $14 million right now?
No.
So
he'll probably take 10.
He'll probably take 10. And Marchand will probably take 4.
Yeah.
Like, it just is what it is.
They just want to win.
And I don't know what the rest of their situation, like, I don't know how long they have Seth Jones for.
That's another guy I'm really happy for, Seth Jones.
Yeah.
He got a lot of crap playing for the Hawks, and now it's like, can we all just admit he's a really good defenseman?
Yeah.
And stop that.
We've discussed this already with the Hawks fans. I didn't know they were ripping him as much as they were, but that's outrageous to me.
Yeah.
It's just because he was making more money than anyone else and they sucked.
I think so. I mean, they just were bad.
Like, collectively, they sucked, and he was the highest earner.
I think so. I think he's the highest paid on that team. But he didn't have a lot of help.
Right. So, you got anything else there, Stu?
No, I think that's it. I mean, we just did the whole finals justice, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously the playoffs have been going on, so there's been a lot of NHL talk, but we'll keep this thing going in the summer and have some more information, educational podcast
different
stuff
topics.
coming out.
Yeah, today was just so we got to talk about the finals, but also some good stuff in there too.
Well, also, I mean, we've got to do our annual top 5 goalie list coming up this summer.
Oh, no.
That's got to hit because mine's changed. I don't know about yours, but mine's changed.
We can talk about that.
Just giving the people something to look forward to this off season.
Good.
That's it.
Good. Need it.
But yeah, I mean, pretty good playoffs. It was kind of underwhelming at the end. I mean, you said it best this morning. It just didn't even feel really like a series, you know.
Yep. The Oilers won when the Panthers wanted them to.
Exactly. It felt like the Oilers kind of got lucky to win when they did. Because
if they won, it was because the Panthers let them by making penalty mistakes, really.
Yeah.
So
5-on-5, it was never a series, man.
No.
Well, good day.
That's all I got for you today. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.